Hey there.
How are you?
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Hi,
So,
everyone.
I have to acknowledge an extreme personal connection to Jim. He is actually truly one of my best friends in the world. He's godfather to my baby girl, my daughter, Annabella, and we've been friends for more years than I could count. The International Live Events Association that I mentioned earlier, it's something that both Jim and I helped found the chapter in Rhode Island, so our passion for the events industry has been strong for quite some time in that regard. And I have to truthfully say, I don't think there are very many projects that I've worked on as an event professional over the years that you have not been involved in.
It's because I won't let you.
So, what I first want to talk about is, the concept to a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people that have used you. You're extremely well known. Jim does events all over the country, and for that matter, even different parts of the world. Is what I really want to first talk about as I pour you some wine is talk about what Verity Design is. What does it mean to people that are out there? What does the company excel and produce for people?
So Verity Design is a live event, experiential events company. So we work in all different capacities, from corporate events to nonprofits to social events. It could be a bar mitzvah, it could be a wedding, and all aspects of it. Sometimes a client will come to us with just a concept in their head. They need everything from graphics to imagery to branding, and we can start them on that path all the way through to producing, designing, setting up, and executing the actual event. Right through, we're the first person in and the last person out. So we're there before everybody, and we're the last ones out at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning when everybody's gone off in their rides in their limo and Uber because we drive safely. We're the last ones there, closing up the facility and sweeping the floors right to the finish.
So that's a good point. I just talked about this with Jeff Melanzi, is that the whole DIY, the do-it-yourself concept that has been out there for a long time, kind of plays into what you were just saying, that you're the last ones out. And I think that that's a lot of what people forget about, is that when it comes to the special event, again, whether it's anniversary, birthday party, wedding, corporate events, all these are things that Jim has been a part of as well, is I think that that's the part that's missing, is that when your event's over, you don't want to be the one there cleaning up the glasses and the dishes and the tables and going to bed at 3 in the morning, because that's what our jobs are.
I've seen people make that mistake.
Right.
And so the
By the way, which one? Something else? Some
maybe
wine
a
here?
little white.
Jim was with me yesterday at a photo shoot, so
Yeah.
he had a very good day with me yesterday.
I was a model yesterday. Today I'm a model citizen.
Cheers.
Salud. Thank you
Salud.
for the invitation.
My pleasure. So go ahead. We were talking about the DIY part about it and how it's something that.
Right. So it's a wonderful thing that there's so many things out there like Pinterest and Facebook and all of these sites where folks can get ideas. But what happens, and what I caution clients, whether it's a small job for a handful of people at a house party or a big corporate event, which typically they don't do as often as the folks that have a little bit more time on their hands, they want to put their creative touch on something.
Right.
So they'll try to make their own centerpieces, or they're going to sew their own linens, they're going to do what they're going to do, even making food and baskets and aisle runners and whatever the event might be. And I think that's great. What happens though, and I try to talk my clients through this process, so now you've got all of this stuff. It's a wedding, for example. So here it is 48 hours before the wedding, your family is all in, some of them are in from out of state, they're traveling, they're anchored, they want the bride and groom's time, and you can't give it to them because you have to drive the centerpieces to the church. Or you have to go put the tablecloths on, and oh, by the way, they're wrinkled because they were shipped in a box or something happened. Who's going to handle all that? So the DIY, it's great in concept, but folks such as ourselves and the rental companies, designers, we exist for a reason. It's because we get the job done, we get it done professionally, it's done neat, clean. We handle all of the wear and tear, we handle all of the work. And that frees up the clients to enjoy their event. It goes by very quick. You really want to be present.
And enjoying your own event is incredibly important. I have to tell you, as you said, professionals ourselves, is that when we have our own events, sure, we could do all the work ourselves, but we rely on our friends and our colleagues because we do. We want to enjoy the events ourselves when we're part of it. We find that we work hard and the occasions are special and they want to do it. I mean, going back to, and Godmom says hi, by the way. Sherry's out there watching.
Hi, Sherry.
Is that, going back to, I think, my daughter's birthday parties. I had a birthday party for my daughter that's only 30, 40 people at the house, but Jim comes over, whether it's linens or flowers or he's bringing something in. He was helping me hang flower pots outside the house before guests arrived, right? I mean, seriously.
Right, but to your credit, what you will do, which is even at our own events, the DIY goes just so far. Rick has enough sense to have caterers come in.
Right.
He'll have food prepared, he'll pick it up from here, they'll have it delivered.
Right.
And that frees him up to be with his guests. So even as events people, we use events people. It's a smart thing to do.
Right. So touching from there, people seem, and there's this concept that's out there, that if you're not somebody that's doing this on a regular basis, so if you're not a corporate event planner, or you're not throwing 10 weddings a year, that kind of thing, or an anniversary party, there's the sense that people have that they love events, they know that they're fun, they see things, like you brought up Pinterest, they see beautiful images, things that are out there. What would you say to people that have a little bit of hesitation about sitting down with someone like you? So I mean, because the first thing that always scares everybody is, oh, I don't have $50,000 to spend on one concept. So there's different levels of events, and you just did a gorgeous event, which I want to have you highlight as well. But talk about how you go through that process of sitting down with someone that's looking to do a special occasion.
Right. And so I think one of the biggest reasons why people are reluctant to call a planner, such as our company, such as Verity Design, is because they think that they can't afford it. And my reply is you can't afford not to. And there's a whole number of reasons, one that I just listed, and that is typically by the time somebody, so I did an event for a couple, it was a wedding. Both very creative individuals, wanted to do as much as they could, and I was also in the wedding party. They were close friends, and I cautioned them to avoid that, is to not, for what I just mentioned, put their time and energy into doing these things themselves. But people think that they can't afford a planner, and that isn't really true. So the best thing that I tell folks is if you've got $1,000 to spend, or you've got $50,000 to spend, let somebody like myself know, because then what we'll do is present you with the best possible options to maximize your dollars to get what you want. And because we're good at what we do, we can take your dollars and make them really have a high impact.
Right.
Where you might, look at a room and, the average person might say, okay, I've got $5,000 to spend. I'm going to put $5,000 all over the room, and it gets sort of diluted.
And I think that goes back to our profession, the amount of times that people have done things that we're doing, is that it's almost that negotiation. Again, you don't have the time to sit there and negotiate with 10 vendors that might be a part of your event, any of those occasions. But we do, and we have those connections. ILEA, the International Live Events Association, colleagues throughout the country. I mean, we tap into people all over the world that we're doing these events for to get that buying power. And I have clients up on Federal Hill, great restaurants that are hosting parties on a regular basis. And one of the things that's been exciting to see is they have started to tap into planners. They've realized, okay, I want to theme this, whether it's a photo booth or linens or flowers, things that complement those people that already exist. And one of the unique things with Verity Design is that you are not just a set planner. You don't come in and just do design. You can come in and have a guest sit down with you, and you can go from beginning to end of the process, right?
From concept, we interface with every other vendor, so they may have a band or somebody that would come to me and say, I've already hired a band, and here's the venue, but we need to fill in all the other pieces, whether it's bringing in a caterer or it's lighting or accents, tabletop. We interface with all those people, and this is really, I tell clients that I'm working with, what we do is theater. It's staging and timing.
Very good point.
So the lights go on, something should be happening. We're moving folks through an entire experience. They're going to see, feel, taste, smell things, and it's all timing right through to when the lights go down and the folks are loading back into valet and they're on their way home. It's all timing and it's theater. The other reason that sort of jumped into my head, why we should hire professionals, is because it's the things that the average consumer isn't necessarily thinking about. So for example, I've got a whole array and inventory of fabrics and textile products, from draping to ceiling to fabrics. As an example, a tent, you think it's harmless, a tent goes up in your backyard, you can have 150 people for an event, and you put up some curtains. If the fire marshal comes in and asks you for a fire certificate, because you still have to have exits and signs and all of the codes.
Make sure things are fire retardant,
as
so
if
the
you were
candle
anywhere
falls
else.
over. Yeah,
We have all of that. We have the insurance. We have the certificates. So the fire marshal can tell you, without those documents, you need to tear it all down right now. They're within the letter of the law, and you have to comply. You avoid all that with us.
And to go back to, for lack of better terms, it's kind of like a one-stop shop. You can go to individuals like Jim, where you can go and you get that from beginning to end, that those things are covered, which makes your life easier, again, more enjoyable, get your negotiation power in there to maximize your budget to do it. Before we end, there's what I really would like to try to do is, Jim is an incredibly visual person, from tapestries to colors to his tastes in food and wine. I have to say, one thing I'm happy about is I did turn Jim on to Prosecco, something I'm very proud to say.
It's a nickname.
It's a nickname for him. So, could you describe and you're incredibly good with your words, so I think this will be easy for you. Kind of a visual process. So maybe we use the example of a recent event that you had that's been up. You did a bar mitzvah at a very unique venue, so you can even talk about the venue a little bit.
Right.
But can you describe how that started, so how it came to concept that you did it, and what you did to execute it? Because if people go to look at the pictures with what your words are going to be, you're going to be blown away about the abilities of things that you can do and transform a space, so to speak, truly.
It was a lot of fun. So it turns out I know the client. The client, I had done a son's bar mitzvah a few years ago, and he just came to me and said he wanted a Lord of the Rings theme. So I rented the Towers in Narragansett, which is the perfect venue for that, and created
It
from
really
there.
is.
Right.
Did you think about it?
So I directed the client to the venue, which is because that's another thing is we know these properties, so we provide the best sort of setting or environment for the event in question. So now it's the daughter's turn. It's her bat mitzvah, and I sat with her. Her name is Phaedra. I sat with Phaedra and her mom and dad, and she said she loves Alice in Wonderland. She liked the newer version with Johnny Depp and the Red Queen. So I said, how about if we take this and do sort of a castle garden theme of the Red Queen, loosely based on that. And that was the start of the conversation. Because they know me and I've done another job for them, they, especially this time around, just said, do what you want. Here's your budget, which I always recommend. Set a budget,
Right.
And largely for the reason that if you sit with all these ideas, you've got $50,000 ideas and $25,000 worth of money, and we have to now go back and disassemble your event that you've just become emotionally attached to. So I try to avoid that.
Very challenging.
Yeah. We don't want to disappoint. We want to surprise you. We want to wow you.
So talk about how you put together this event. Let's describe what it looked like, because
So I rented the Armory, the Varnum Armory in East Greenwich. It was the perfect venue for this, and it was transforming the space. So it was renting a 50-foot wide by 20-foot tall backdrop painting from Hollywood, a painting of a castle courtyard of the Red Queen. And so the whole thing there.
Very cool.
And then uplit that, stationed the DJ in front of that, and then it's just layering all of these beautiful props and whimsical things. The big highlight was I had bought a series of potted palms and set them on the floor and put all fake grass around them and lounge furniture around that. But then took really super-sized, super-scaled flowers, big, massive flowers on steroids.
So if you saw some of my posts, I put that picture of that flower because it was unbelievable.
Right, and shoved them into the pots, and that was just sort of the perfect setting for that. Zigzag tables, windy, whimsical thing, stiletto pump holders with Gerber daisies shooting out of them, just sort of whimsical things. And I introduced Blackstone caterers to them, who will be on shortly, to the client, and they came up with a fantastic menu of whimsical things. We had the Eat Me, Drink Me signs out to really help drive the theme. Red carpet, I bought jackets for the valet out front, double-breasted red with gold buttons.
So even the valets were in on this theme.
So we do the details from start to finish. So it's really very sensual for them. And the minute they come in, it's very clear what's happening. The food is supported by that as well. The lighting, and again, it's all timing.
So I just got a message as we're ending the side of this, is that where does Jim post his pictures? So is there a place where people can kind of see your work and art? I'm going to ask Evan and Shannon this too as well, because that is an important thing. Going back to the visual aspect of it, is there places that you can talk about where people can kind of have a lookbook, so to speak?
Probably the best to see some of our work, a lot of our work actually, is not all. It would be, I'd need several pages, is at our website, which is veritydesign.biz. So it's VERITY design.biz. And it's broken into categories of social, corporate, nonprofit.
Perfect.
Very inspirational.
And one of the last things I wanted to say before we bring in our next guest is that Jim is a collaborative person, and all the people that are here today is that, like I mentioned with Chef Melanzi, all of these guys have worked together in one shape or another. I've worked with all of them on multiple projects. There's been projects where all four of us have been involved, and then there's been projects where there's 12 more people involved from different companies. So we have that spirit of
synergy.
That synergy, that cooperation, that truthfully that drive for excellence to make things that special for the people that we're working for. But well done. There's never anything that disappoints with Mr. Verity. So thank you, my friend, for joining me.
too.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes.
All
Good
right.
luck.
Take that out there so you can finish it. You don't waste wine. We know that that's
I'll send somebody else in.